Hello everyone, welcome to a review on laws of exponents. Remember there's three basic rules. So when you take a variable and multiply it by a like variable, let's say x squared times x to the seventh, I'm going to add the exponents. All right? If you have a variable and you're dividing it by a like variable, you're now going to subtract the exponents. And if you have a variable raised to a power, and then parentheses so that it's raised to a second power, now you're going to multiply the exponents. Right? Other than negative exponents and x to the 0 power, those are the three rules that you're going to need for laws of exponents. And we'll come across the other two as we work through the other slides. So here we go. X squared times x to the fourth. It's a multiplication. We add the exponents. Again, it's multiplication. It's an x times an x. So we're going to add the exponents. Oh, and there we have negative exponent. And we talked about to make that become positive, it has to shift from numerator to denominator. So it needs to move into denominator. And we're going to put 1 here as a placeholder. So 1 over x cubed. Again, there's no symbol here, right? So that means multiplication. So we're going to do the 7 times the 6. So let's do this to show what I'm doing here. So I'm going to take, it's all multiplication, right? I can multiply any order I want. So I'm going to take the 7 times the 6. And then I'm going to do the x to the negative 9th times the x to the 4th. So the 7 times the 6, it's going to give me 42. An x times an x, it's going to give me an x. It's multiplication, so I add. Negative 9 plus 4 is negative 5. All right, so once again, we have a negative exponent. So that needs to shift into the denominator to make it become positive. So 42 over x to the 5th. All right, now we go to division. Now I'm taking an x, dividing it by an x. Now we're going to subtract 7 minus 2. Okay, number 5, we have division. So 8 divided by 2, these are not exponents. These are just numbers like you've always divided. So just divide them. 8 divided by 2. Don't make that more difficult than it needs to be. And we're next going to take the y to the 4th, divide it by the y to the 10th. All right, it's a division problem. So we subtract the exponents. The 8, 2 were not exponents. So I don't apply that rule for exponents to non-exponents. Right, so we're dividing. The bases are the same, y and y. So we subtract 4 minus 10. So we get y to the negative 6th. Once again, negative exponent. We don't want to leave final answers with negative exponents most of the time. All right, so those two are equivalent. One's written with negative exponents, one's written with positive exponents. Right? Now we sort of had 3 problems in one, whereas here we sort of had 2 problems in one. So we have to do the 14 over the 35. We're going to have to do the x cubed over the x to the 8th. And then the y to the 7th over the y to the 7th, all right? So 14 divided by 35, that's going to give me a decimal. We're going to convert that back to a fraction. Basically, we're simplifying a fraction here. We don't want decimal answers. So 14 over 35 is going to become 2/5. And then x cubed over x to the 8th, we subtract. We get x to the negative 5. And we have y to the 7th divided by y to the 7th. 7 minus 7 is 0. Some of you guys might be skipping this step right here. Okay? So this thing has a negative exponent, so it needs to be moved to the bottom. So we're going to have 2 over 5, right? 2/5. And then x to the negative 5 has to move to the denominator to become a positive exponent. And any number to the 0 power, I don't care what it is, raised to the 0 power, it's going to be 1. So y to the 0 becomes 1. Remember, all of this was being multiplied. This was 2 times x to the negative 5th times. So I'm going to make this multiplication. And of course, now we need to simplify completely. 2 over 5x to the 5th. A little side note here. What if we have negative 3w to the 99th power, z to the negative 50th power, all of that, that's in parentheses, all of that raised to the 0 power. Well, really doesn't matter what's in here. It's all being raised to the 0 power, so that's just going to be 1. All right, so now I have powers raised to power. So I have c cubed, parentheses, and that term with an exponent is being raised to another exponent. So that's when we multiply. So c to the 27th. Okay, so you got to be careful. Remember that rule we just stated was the exponents are being multiplied. 4 is not an exponent, so you're not going to multiply 4 times 2. You're going to take the exponent of 4. It's not written. It's understood to be a 1. And you're going to multiply it by 2. So 1 times 2. So 4 to the 1 times 2. And then h to the negative 3 times 2. Okay, so we simplify. 4 squared, 4 times 4. Right? 4 squared, 4 times 4. H has a negative exponent. It needs to move to the bottom. Negative 6 then becomes a a 6. So we have moved it from the numerator to the denominator, and that changes the sign. Okay. Side note here: if you have, let's say, 7 over x to the negative 2. It's unusual that you see this, but we just reversed that rule, right? To make this from negative to positive, we shifted it to the denominator. Well, this one's already in the denominator, and it's negative, so when we move it to the numerator, it becomes positive. So this is going to become 7. We bring this to the numerator, x, and when we bring it up to the numerator, the exponent becomes positive. All right, so again over here, that 3 is not an exponent. I want to multiply the exponents, so I need to fill in probably my understood 1 there. So I'm going to have 3 to the 1 times 4. I have w to the 2 times 4. And then I have g to the negative 2 times negative 2 times 4. It's negative 8. All right, so 3 to the 4th, it's 3 times 3 times 3 times 3. It's 81. W to the 8th is positive. This has a negative exponent. Again, need to move it into the denominator to make it positive. Okay. Negative 7, the exponent is 1. So I'm going to have negative 7 to the 1 times 4. Now here's where you have to be careful. Anytime you have negative numbers with exponents, I want to put it in parentheses so that you get the right sign in your answer. That is negative versus positive. Okay. Without the parentheses, half the time, if it's always if it's an even exponent, you're going to get the wrong number. So x cubed, so we're going to have x to the 3 times 4. And the next one's y to the negative 10 times 4. Okay. negative 7 to the fourth power is going to be, let's see, 2401. So if you forget the parentheses, you're going to get negative 2401. And on a multiple choice question, you will have both of those choices. And if you forget the parentheses, you're going to get a negative and you're going to have the wrong answer. X to the 12th. Once again, we see a negative exponent needs to move into the denominator. Okay, so now here we have a mix of things. We want to multiply these two things together, but first I have to take care of all of this to the second, all of this to the third. Then I can multiply, right? Exponents have precedence over multiplication. So again, we have 4, I need the exponent, 1, 4 to the 1 times 2. Then we have x to the 2 times 2. We have c to the 3 times 2. I'm going to go ahead and clean that up. That 4 squared, I don't like it like that, so I'm going to write it as 16. X to the 4th, c to the 6th, and I'm going to need to multiply that by whatever we get here. So here we go. Rules to multiply exponents. So I'm going to do 3, well that's 3 to the 1, exponent 1 times exponent 3, and then I have x, oh, no exponents written, so it's a 1, x to the 1 times 3, and then c to the negative 2 times 3 is negative 6. Notice I didn't put parentheses around the 3 or the 4 only when it's a negative number, right? If it's a positive number, it won't make any difference whether or not you put it in parentheses. But if you have exponents with negative numbers, remember to put that negative number in parentheses. And so we're going to get 27 x cubed c to the negative 6th. And now I need to do 16 times 27. Let's see, I get 432. X, so I'm multiplying the x times the x, so I add the 4 and the 3. And for the c to the 6th times c to the negative 6th, again, I add and I get c to the 0, right? 6 plus negative 6 is 0. And then the last thing we have to deal with on this one is we have to take care of this c to the 0. We don't want to leave that. So 432 x to the 7th times 1. Well, multiplying by 1 doesn't change anything. So 432 x to the 7th. I believe I have one more here. So here we go. 3 to the 4th. I'll not get through this one. Okay. Okay, everyone. I wish you all the best of luck on your assessment tomorrow. I hope this video has helped you all.